Okay. Yeah.
What exciting things are happening?
You don't want to ask that.
Oh, why? What, are you having exciting times, are you?
I had a trauma today, like I don't think I've had in a class before in a training session, you know.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, stressful because I was teaching one of my new classes. It's only the second or third time, called Zoom Tips and Tricks. Okay, and the reason I have to use Zoom shared within Zoom. Okay, so you've got to share Zoom in such a way that when you're showing people, you know, the subtleties within Zoom, they can see what you're doing. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Zoom, for some reason, just wouldn't allow me. Okay. And it was stressful because there were a lot of people in the class. Okay. I don't know, sort of 15 or something. And you know, I basically couldn't do the class. It wouldn't, and you know, I've done it before, and I designed it like that, and I watched an American guy do something similar with their Zoom, and so I had it all sort of panned out. Just wouldn't work. So I improvised the entire class. Okay, and I had class members telling me what to do and telling each other what to do, and there were some hilarious moments of people just you know, teaching the teacher. But I knew beforehand, before the class started that it wasn't working. So I told them up front, I said, it's not working. But that doesn't stop certain people from giving advice.
Yeah, that's true.
Just do.
That's true. There's always an expert, isn't there?
Yeah. So anyway, when I'm finished today, because I said to Sue, we just got to go out and go and have something to eat out or something. I was so stressed. Okay. Calm on the outside, but very stressed on the inside. And but I got through the hour, and that was it. And so we just got back now, and, taken the dogs for a walk, and settle down. So I've got to find out.
Very good.
Yeah. Anyway, and you?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. Not much happening, but no, all good.
Okay. Yeah.
So what's on the agenda for tonight?
Well, what I said last time was that I'm happy, if you are still happy, to take you through the first section of that, or the first class. Okay. I won't take an hour. Okay, we'll just do it quite quickly, although it might lose some of the effect. But I think you and I know enough about intent to, you know, not to, and that might. I think if we work through that, and then maybe you interact as we go through slide by slide. There aren't many slides. Okay. Excuse me. Have some water. And then maybe we can improve the slide presentation, okay, with some new ideas or some questions and so on. And then if there is time, and then to say, right, now you've given ideas in the last discussion, which I've put now onto YouTube, onto the Phoenix Rising YouTube, and we can, what else now goes into planning, you know, on top of what you have shared last week or last on Sunday, I suppose. So, and yeah, and in the light of what you hear. So, are you happy with that?
Sure.
Okay. All right. Let me just share my screen, and Okay, I assume you can see the screen.
Yeah, I can. Hey, I was just going to mention too, there is a remote chance that I might have to take a phone call, but
Okay, that's fine.
but I'll just give you a heads up just in case. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But just put everything on pause and give me time to drink my coffee. Okay.
Yep. It's all
Okay.
good.
Okay. So um, I've changed the title about 3 weeks ago, but the Get Set Up haven't got around to changing it on their system yet. Okay, but this is the title. All right, creating a unique business idea. Okay,
Yep.
so then we'll leave the next slide. That's just where I've got to introduce myself to whoever the attendees are, and then an agenda, which interestingly means nothing to most people that come on, okay? And because they really don't know what's coming. That's the bottom line. So agenda is called for in the setup of Get Set Up. That's why it's there. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't put it there, okay? But I start by saying, there are three broad, and I've divided into steps, by the way, step 1 to step 6, okay? Step 7 is what we've got to still come up with, perhaps maybe 7, 8, 9 or something like that, okay? Okay, so I want to bring it down into the personal. So I start here with there basically 3 categories of business on the planet, okay? You either manufacture a product and you sell it, like a factory or a craftsman or an artist, okay? Or you buy a product from someone else and sell it, like a wholesale retailer or an affiliate or an agent, okay? Or you learn a skill and you sell your service, like a doctor or a lawyer or a nurse or a tradesman or a programmer, okay? So I believe that everything falls into those 3 categories very, very broadly. So I said, now we take these 3 broad categories and we put them into a person, okay? Because we're all unique, okay? So do you enjoy working with your hands, which then becomes the manufacturer, okay? And do you enjoy interacting with people? And do you enjoy working with your head and soft skills you've learned, okay? It's like a doctor or a programmer, and you like to work alone, and you work by yourself. So that's like and there's a lot of talking that goes on while I explain these, as you can imagine, okay? And that they all interact, saying, well, I'm all 3, and say, yes, you are, okay? But primarily, there's one that you actually enjoy doing, okay? And then I'll throw some ideas out without giving too many examples at this stage, because I want them to think. And they, in the class, generally, they land up with step 1, an answer for step 1 of those 3, okay? And if they don't, it's not an issue. I don't try and pressurize them in any way. I say, right, I want you to think back after the class, make yourself a cup of tea and relax, and just relax and think about your childhood, think about your teenagehood, think about your early life. What is it that, not that you landed up doing as a career, but what did you enjoy doing? Okay. It might have been a hobby, but it might have been something that you just did. Okay. And so on. So that usually brings a sort of, oh yes, I remember type thing. And then I move on to step 2. Actually, this is the wrong heading. I've been meaning to change that, so ignore the heading. But why start a business? We get down to the why. And then after that, what do I want to do and why do I want to do it? So I'm moving to why start a business. And I give we're talking now about the intent. What is the intention? Why do you want to start a business? Okay. And I explain here that intention is the starting point, okay? And it releases creative energies, and I go a little bit elaborate about that. And then about the authentic intent and why it's the first step, and so on. And then the things you see on the screen now. Okay, so intent induces motivation, creativity, and those sustaining energies that you need. Okay, yeah, and intent helps you find what is right for you and makes you feel good about yourself, regardless. And I make them promise at this stage that they don't discuss this with their children, they don't discuss it with their spouse, they don't tell anybody that they're working through this process. Okay, and I find this for me is very important, because people have opinions, and those opinions can be demotivating, and you know, it makes these people who are trying to work through this process go back to using their logic and the other brain. So they land up after that process on step 2 and write down, why do I want to start a business? So there need to be a lot of contemplation about it, and they're not allowed to put money into it. It's not about money. Okay, it's about something you love, something that you used to do. Then step 3 is now the process of finding meaning to your life. Okay, I talk about the subconscious mind and linking with the subconscious mind, and trying to link with it when the conscious mind is preoccupied with something else. And again, I give some ideas that they could think about without, I make it clear that they mustn't work on these questions or these points. These are just sort of some sort of guidelines, okay? Because at this point, they've decided that they perhaps want to work with their hands or their head, or they prefer just working with people. And then, you know, things like what makes life worth living? What do I want my life to be? Okay, or who or what do I want to be? Okay, how can I express my special gifts and characteristics that perhaps I know that I have, and have never used them in a career or whenever, okay, or have, you know, might have. What can I introduce into my life that will give me fulfillment, joy, and a sense of direction? And we discussed that in the class a little bit, you know, and just not answers, but what it means and what the options. So, you know, what gives my life meaning and purpose? Are you walking a path in life that is uniquely yours? Okay, and so at this point, they really are now thinking very differently to when they entered the class. Okay, they're seeing a different approach. They're seeing how important this is. Okay, so step 3, broadly, what will give you meaning? They've got to write down there and decide that now that meaning is going to give them a purpose. Okay, and I said they must exaggerate it and dramatize the whole thing of a grand purpose, because it's only then, they're not sharing this with anybody. Okay, it's something that they must start feeling good very shortly through the process. Right, so now they've got these steps 1, 2, and 3, including now purpose. And so what do I want to do in very, very, very broad terms? Now that they've got a purpose, okay, just a very broad category of work. Okay, so I'm going to sip a little bit more water. And, you know, it could be any of, those are just some examples, but, you know, they could want to become a consultant, or they could, you know, want to become a coach, or a programmer, you know, something, whatever, just a very, very broad category. And this, I show them, you know, how it must come as a feeling and not as a logical thought about it. Okay, so if they're thinking about making cookies to sell, you know, outside their old age home, then or in their old age home or in their home, most of them are in their own premises, their own homes. Okay, and so, you know, if they say, well, you know, I want to be a freelancer. Okay, and we'll come to the detail. Or I want to be a baker. Okay. Then there must be a feeling of warmth. That idea is quite exciting to me, whatever it happens to be, you see. And then they start listing all my what's, okay. What's been category. So there's definitely going to be more than one category. Okay, so as you think about it, maybe over a week, I encourage them to do this and think about it every day, and before you go to sleep at night, and to have a notebook next to your bed, and all that goes with this. And then, you know, take their time, because they've got the rest of their lives. And I always talk about, you know, if you're my age at 72, you know, you've got another 30 years. So, you know, take a few weeks to get the answers, or these 6 steps down, okay? And wait for those aha moments that might occur in the supermarket when you're preoccupied with the cashier. Something might come, and that's what you must write down. So I encourage that sort of aspect, looking for the breakthrough of the subconscious at any time of the day or in the middle of the night, and to jot it down, to try and see what makes them feel good. Okay. So I give an example here. 2 people intend to donate money to charity. The first one's reason is to get a tax deduction, and the second person's is to assist abandoned children. The what is the same, but the why is not. Okay, and that helps a lot to create the why. Then I say the reason you need a why, or need an authentic, if you have an authentic, a motivating why to live for, you will discover many hows to achieve it. The hows are not as important as the why, okay? And the why must be genuine. So I rub that home a lot, because I think that's the most important part of this. And then I give an example. Sometimes I tell them it's actually my example, which it is. Other times I don't. It really depends on the relationship I have with that particular class at that time. Every one of these lessons is very different, one of these classes, okay? Depends on the interaction and the questions that I get, okay? So I say, right, you know, end of step 3, we came up with a purpose, okay? Here's an example, okay? To research, write, and share the information that will benefit individuals, okay? And then why? This person loves researching, discovering new information, and writing. Okay, and this is now like the first example, but it's also it has to be very broad and wide, and always must be in the start of a business. You need to have these very broad aspects. Okay, and then I encourage them again. You know, take a few days. And I actually send them the slide presentation. I just take out the Get Set Up logo and so on, which I'm not allowed to send out. And I just create a PDF out of the slides without any Get Set Up logo. So, okay, so I say now you're clear about the reasons for being in business. Okay, you now know why you're going into business. You know the type of business and your reasons for that type of business. I mean, that's quite a profound forward. That's a big step in this whole process, you know, if you think about it. Okay,
absolutely.
When you get to these answers over a couple of weeks, maybe sooner, a few days, and now we put it all together in one paragraph, you have an overall purpose, or what companies call a mission, okay? But you've worked your way through step by step by step to get to this particular point. And I say to them now, you should be excited now, okay, when you've got to this point. You know, when you think about it in the morning now, about your purpose, your overall purpose, your mission, there should be a warm feeling. There should be a tingling in your gut, okay? If there's not, start the process again, okay? Yeah. So now, I say now in step 6 and the final step, now comes a little bit more detail, okay, just a little bit, not too much, okay, we land up in more. So take the what broad category and start thinking and researching to bring it down to a more specific category. In other words, a category within the category. Okay. And I say the reason you want to do this is because this is the category that you're now going to work in, and you also want to become the expert in this category. And you're going to have to, if you know nothing about this category, you're going to have to, study or research or learn as much as you can. You might decide, well, you want to be a doctor. Well, that means another 7 years of studying that you're going to have to do. Okay, but that's what you've come to. Okay, and so I then say to them, okay, let's look at our example again. Okay, so we look at our what example, the researcher and writer. The broad purpose wants to research, write, and share, which they've seen already. Okay, general purpose. Now, this is a category within the other category. Okay, so now he wants to research, write, and share information about alternative health treatments. I'm going to change that to natural health treatments from your example. Yeah. And then within that natural health treatments, now we're bringing it down into another broad category of a detailed purpose. So from a broad purpose to a general purpose to a detailed purpose. So going to wants to research, write, and share information for nervous system diseases. Okay. And then you bring it down, right? Where are you going to start now? Because you know the nervous system, and you're going to start with, Parkinson's disease or multiple sclerosis or any number of the nerve, but it's written down now. Okay. So now for anybody wanting to start a business, they've got a broad purpose. Okay. They've brought it down, and they've brought it down. And now you've actually got a product to start with. Okay. You're now going to write about Parkinson's disease. Okay. Or you're now going to bake chop chocolate cookies or whatever it is. Okay. So we're now down to the specific product. And basically, step 6 now comes to how, before we get to launching the business, because we don't launch the business in this class, okay, you now need to, I should actually say now it becomes, but before the launch of business, is take your idea, think about how you're going to deliver your detailed tasks, okay? So, let's say as you want to research about Parkinson's, are you going to, start training these alternative healths? Are you going to blog them? Are you going to write articles? Are you going to create videos? Are you going to become a freelancer in that area? And so forth. So depending on what your idea is, how you're going to deliver it now. And basically, that's what the various options that came to mind: trainer, freelancer, blogger, a manufacturer, retailer. Maybe you're going to make and then retail yourself, or maybe you're going to be a mentor in whatever area. And I say to them now, if it's not obvious how you want to read, now you can Google it. Now you can go researching. Now you use your logical mind, okay? Because you now have the product that comes from your heart, and now you've just got to find out how to deliver that you've done, and then create sample products. Practice, perfect it, give it away for comments, okay? We haven't launched the business. You want to get feedback now, what your cookies taste like, or what your articles read like, or your blogs read like, or what your videos are like, okay? And then comes step 7, possibly 8, 9, 10, and 11. Now comes the actual launch of the product, which is not in this class. The marketing strategy, finding people to buy your products and services, how to grow your business, and that will be the next setup class. So you now become a creator, I've called it. Okay? You have created your own idea, your own product that is unique to you, and it's come from your heart, come from your subconscious, come from some connection. I don't use the word universe and so on, because it might just click up the wrong way with people. So I use the word creator. Okay. And and that's where the class ends. Okay. In that, and with a thank you after that. And
very good.
okay. So how do we move forward from there? Now, let me hear what you have to say while I sip some coffee.
Well, the next step is going to be a little bit like within the format that you've just done, I think, in many respects, is whether you want to sort of portray a range of options on how to implement a business. You know, like, is it going to be an online business, or is it going to be a bricks and mortar business, or is it going to be like as a subcontractor? So, you know, within an existing business, or, you know, those sorts of options, I guess. And depending on which way you settle down, then it's going to take some different paths, I guess, depending on which way you go, I guess, isn't it? You know?
Okay, and give me some more examples of what you've just suggested. You've given some examples. Are there any others that come to mind? Or
well, I think the other sort of context that goes around it is whether or not you think it's going to be appropriate to talk about the context that the business operates. You know, are you operating for profit, or are you operating for benefit? You know, so the whole idea of, you know, the consumerist type business, or is it something, you know, different than that?
Yeah, it's interesting, and I want to bring a point up or get your opinion here, because a lot of these old folks in my class, they speak about something that actually irks me. Okay. And that is, they talk about, you know, I'd like to start a non-profit organization. Okay. And as soon as I say why, they really stumble for words. Okay. It's like something that non-profit for me is the wrong starting point. Okay. You go into business, you want to go into business to make a profit, and you want to go into business to get to a sustainable level. Okay. Then things change. But if you start out trying to, I don't know, fool yourself that this is not for profit, I'm doing it for mankind, and all that codswallop.
Well, yeah, the reality is it still needs to be for profit, but it's just profit for a purpose, isn't it? You know, so.
Well, yeah, but it's your purpose. First of all, it's profit for your purpose, okay, not for non-profit, okay? You're not going to want to do a business in order to give everything to child welfare, okay?
No, because you'd be out of business quick smart. Yeah.
Yeah, you would be, but then the focus is wrong. You see, there's nothing wrong with making money, okay? You need to, at this moment, until the society changes, and it will, okay, it's about sustainability, getting to sustainability financially.
I think that's an important point to flesh out a bit too, because if they, you know, want to do things which is not going to generate an income, then it's not a business.
Yeah. But a lot of them think and what happens with non-profit, you know that, Don, is that they make money, they sell something, they make money. And
of course they do.
And they pay big salaries, and they do everything. Just the law says that, I don't know, within 2 years or something, you've got to have done something with the profit, okay? I don't know what your local law says, but that was the one back home in our place. So it's not a good starting point, that. And I don't want to encourage it, you know, because these people are elderly, every one of them, and they either, like the class that I had yesterday, okay, they were saying that it's just businesses in their blood. Okay, I think there were 7 of them in the class, and with the exception of one, business was in their blood. They'd been in business in their career, and they sold it to retire, or they sold it after the coronavirus hit, and now they're looking for where to go from here, because they want to be in business. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I forgot the point I was going to make with that example. But
Well, no, but I think you're right, because, they need, just sustainability means that you need to generate an income to cover your costs and give yourself some capital to, grow your business. Otherwise it's not a business.
I agree. And also, you want to go away on holiday. You've got those are all part of the sustainability level. Okay. It's when you start, you already got the business because you want to, let's say, whatever you're doing is part of helping society, whatever the business is. That must be, it's not a selfish business. Okay.
No.
So the purpose of, maybe wanting to write blogs, okay, would be so that other people can learn something or benefit something. So there's right from step one, there's a fundamental link towards humanity. Okay. And so it starts off at the right tone with step one, with thinking. Now we've got to carry that through into the rest of it. And so non-profit for me doesn't fall into that, okay, that category. But anyway, be that as it may, carry on. I actually interrupted you. You were giving some other examples of ways to move with the business, how to take your.
Well, that's what I was saying. I was just saying that it's going to be one of those things, and it's going to be tricky as to how you do it, but because there's a whole range of divergent paths can come out of this. But if you want to talk about the overriding context of the business, about is it driven by doing something for purpose, like the benefit of humanity or certain groups or whatever, or is it a consumeristic type business which is all about make as much money as I can for me?
Yeah. So that would be emphasized, I think, as part of step two, if you like, or I mean the next step. Okay, the next class, second class. I agree, and you and I have got lots of reference to consumerism and stuff like that. So yeah.
So maybe it might be at this juncture also might be worthwhile introducing the idea of legacy. Like, do you want to create a legacy?
Yeah.
Or does the business die with you?
Okay. Legacy is usually referred, don't you think? I don't think there is another word, but what you're going to leave your children. Okay.
Well, it doesn't have to be just your children. It's like this thing that you've started. Do you intend for it to
continue and grow?
Yeah, to survive you.
To survive you. Yeah. That the people who are involved. Do you intend having people around you? Those sort of things. And yes, then and you want to be able to know that it's going to continue. Yeah, that's a very good point. Very good point. Because that's definitely part of the planning as well, and the thinking behind the planning.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, it might also be an important junction to maybe have a discussion about some underlying assumptions. Like a lot of the participants will have, as you said, have either worked in businesses or run businesses or certainly had some association with businesses. And the mantra of most traditional businesses is growth, grow. And it's okay to have a discussion around that. Because it's okay to maintain, because that's what sustainability is about. So is it going to be a generate its own energy income, and is it going to sustain that, cover its expenses and maintain and that, or is it something that do you have this intention to head down the path of I want it to get bigger?
Yeah, yeah,
And part of that discussion can realistically talk about, you know, the limitations of humans, even in this age in which we live, you know, that you can only have a direct relationship with so many people.
yeah,
And once it gets beyond that, you know, it becomes impersonal, or you spin off another business out of it so that it remains personal. You know?
yeah,
So
yeah. Like a lot of the big tech companies should be doing. And I suspect they're going to be in the years to come.
well, I think they will too. I don't think they have a choice, you know, because
Yeah,
you know, that's one of the things that, you know, sort of is one of the stupid elements is that, you know, that I think humanity has lost sight of. You know, that when businesses are created and you look at how people conduct themselves in these businesses, you know, they become slaves to a non-human entity.
mm,
And as a slave of a non-human entity, it doesn't have values, it doesn't necessarily have personality, it doesn't have morals, and all of these, and there's a million cases that everyone can point to, is what happens when you lose touch with your humanity, you know?
yeah, yeah. That, as you were talking, a thought came to me, and that was perhaps what's missing from that first class. You know, we talk about a why in a certain context, but maybe we should be talking also about the why when it comes to what's the right context. Just trying to bring a feeling I had when you were talking there.
Well, it's almost like, well, who's the beneficiary? Like, who benefits out of this business?
Yeah, and you know, and you go back and you ask yourself, you know, why am I doing this business? And if the reason, for argument's sake, is, oh, I just want to occupy myself, okay. Now that's really ready to fail. That's you're not attracting anything. You're not focusing an intent on something, and I haven't made that clear in the first step. Okay, that you know, you need to want to get to a sustainable level. Okay.
Kind of fits in that grand purpose thing, doesn't it? You know, like,
Yeah.
and I like the term grand purpose, because what is your grand purpose? Who are you serving here? You know?
Right. Yeah, that would be a good place to bring it in. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, who are the beneficiaries of this business? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. Okay. Any other?
This next step though is a bit of a tricky one, because you know there are so many manifestations of what a business can look like and operate like, isn't there? You know, so.
Yeah, but we need to talk about those too, so that that can formulate into some type of questions that in the planning process people need to be asking themselves. Okay, so we need to give some sort of more substance to that statement or to the content.
Well, I think the answers to the earlier questions, if they're used as a constant reference point, they will provide the guidance, won't they? You know, like if you say, you know, that I want to, you know, do something which benefits a particular group of people or whatever, then when you start talking about things like, okay, well, customer service, what does that look like? You know, it'll walk up to those issues about, you know, well, you know, I'm prepared to make customer service decisions around how it benefits my customers rather than how I minimize my costs or maximize my profits.
Right. Yeah.
You know, because it does go to that question, you know, and if you want to use the analogy like with your garden or whatever else, you know, that, oh, I want to maximize my yield in the garden, so I'm going to jam as many plants in there and fertilize them with artificial fertilizers because I want a big yield.
Yeah.
Is it sustainable? No.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. So that also, that fact alone, you know, we haven't really brought that in. It also comes perhaps under the grand purpose. It's not in that class. You know, we were once talking about such broad categories that I guess that's got to come in as part of the whole plan 2 or planning or questioning.
I mean, I like what you've done with that first part, because it needs to be the way it is, in my opinion. Because if you try and put too many elements in there, then it can become confusing and overwhelming, you know, because you're asking them to make some big decisions there.
Yeah.
And I think that you need to leave them with the space to do that, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for that feedback. Yeah, but then we need to keep the second stage also, you know, because it doesn't matter how many stages there are. Okay.
No.
But they need to make sense from what we are discussing. And yeah.
Well, I mean, the thing that comes to mind for me is out of that first bit, you come to this sort of stage where it's almost like a wagon wheel. Okay, well, these are the key issues that we now need to address once we've settled that.
Right.
So the initial part's almost like the pivot pin in the middle of the wheel, and then you need to make decisions about, you know, how the business operates, how I engage with my customers, how I communicate with my customers, how I, you know, all those sort of more traditional elements, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
And then, you know, intuitively, you know, that'll probably come down to like half a dozen, you know, topics, I guess, you know.
Yeah. Okay. And I don't think we should necessarily tonight move on to talking about, well, what's the next phase? I think I've got to now really take the information that you and I have shared and put it also down into some sort of simple possibility of a class, okay? And
well, it's almost, at this stage, it's almost like a roadmap, isn't it? You know?
Yes. Oh, it is. That's the analogy. Perfect. Spot on. It exactly is. It's a roadmap. Okay.
Yeah.
And but you know, I like the PowerPoint as a way to put things down. Okay.
Yeah.
You do too. Okay. You love it as well. Okay. And I don't know why. It just somehow it has a way of keeping things simple and to the point. And and then I tend to keep elaborate word notes of documents about this and that idea, which eventually I don't actually refer back to, quite honestly, most times. But because by doing it on an elaborate Word document, and some of the things you copy and paste from your research, and the pages go on to ever, but somehow the PowerPoint presentation is just, that's it in a nutshell. Okay. Yeah.
But I think the other thing too is maybe it's just about the planning process itself as well. You know, so let's keep a level of simplicity about it and a level of connectedness about it, so that as we're making some of these more micro decisions, we can still find the linkages back to our grand purpose, you know. And if we can't, then that immediately raises the question, well, why are we doing it, you know?
So, yeah. Spot on. And I've set up those examples there, as you saw, and I think having just told you briefly, now I get so involved in the class itself, but now with you, I just sort of went through it very briefly, and I think there's perhaps within that grand purpose thing, there just needs to be one or two tweaks. But I'll when we finish this evening, I will.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
No, I think it's really good. I do. I think it's really good.
Okay. Cool.
I really think that you're onto something important there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks very much. Okay.
Perfect.
Anything else?
I nothing much. No, nothing comes to mind. No, I had Elatro contact me there a little while ago. They want me to do another news report for them. So
Okay, good. I hope you said yes.
yeah, I did. Yeah,
Yeah, no, that's great.
I think they want it by tomorrow, so it might be in the car, but that's okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, I think it's good to keep the contact in that way, and I keep the contact with the chat, the Elatro chat, and yeah, they're a good bunch of people at heart.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, no. And
Yeah.
they seem to be growing at an exponential rate, which is good too.
It is very good. It is very good. And I see some of the videos coming out on or the titles, that I say, coming out on Telegram. That I think we both are on the same channel there. It's this. I think there's. I haven't listened to many of them, as I say, but the titles seem to think. They're really making headway. Okay.
I think so too. Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah.
There's always new people being added all the time, and
yeah.
I think they're doing a great job.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me, we've got to do the first foundation for Saturday. I mustn't forget that. Give some thought to that. I must give.
Oh, yeah, the first foundation. Yeah, no, I'll have a look at that.
Yeah. And it'll be great if you could join as well.
Yeah, no, I'll try and do that for sure.
Yeah. And then I'll also give some time, and they're going to give some time to it as well. So it's keeping in mind that it's for them to speak English, okay, or read English, speak or read English. And so, so it's good to have it, let's say, on a PowerPoint or a couple of slides or something, because then they get to read the slides too. And mostly, if they request it, I actually give them the PowerPoint that I make it, especially when I'm doing a sort of maybe 5 or 6 slide presentation, then I give it and give them a chance to go through it, especially the ones that are struggling. Because then they can get it translated into Russian and work with it. Okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
Very good. Okay, then. Well, there's a bit to go on with then.
Yeah, I will try and put together something substantial by Sunday. And then I'll share that with you, and then we can take the discussion further again, if that's all right with you.
Sounds good to me.
Great stuff.
Very good.
Okay.
Okay, then. Well, you have a good few days, and I'll talk to you on the weekend.
Yeah, probably Saturday and then Sunday again.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good. Okay, then.
All right. Cheers, Dan. Thanks.
Okay. Bye now.
Bye.